Welcome back to Bleed With Me podcast. I'm your host, Micaela Superstar. I'm here with my other host, Sean Bowtie.
Hi.
And Jerbil.
Me.
And I'm also,
here.
Look, you get to say one thing, dude. One thing.
Sorry.
So
Sorry,
pick
boss.
your word ahead of time, the one word.
You get to pick one word. You say hi.
Yeah,
You get to
and
say,
you
I'm
can
here.
never repeat that word.
Yeah.
You can never repeat it.
Keep it fresh, Jerbil.
If I knew it was only wood, I would have thought about it longer.
Well, for next time.
This is your warning.
For next time.
Okay, and we actually have a guest tonight that we're really excited to
Yeah,
talk
we do.
to. He's a writer, director, producer, co-host of the Midnight Mass podcast with Peaches Christ, which I love. So good. And we also have him talking about his new film that he's written and directed called There's a Zombie Outside that's hitting film festivals right now. Super excited to see that, even though I fucked up and missed it the other day when I went to go watch it, like a true stoner. He calls himself on his little Instagram bio the creator of horror flicks, queer cinema, and that TV movie your mom likes, which is all true. Michael Varrati, welcome to Bleed
Michael,
Uh,
welcome.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. What a great time to, kick it.
Fuck yeah. We love kicking it.
Yeah,
And yeah,
me
you
too.
have so much cool shit to talk about. I've been seeing, like I said, I've been stalking your IG, and you've been like making the rounds and doing all kinds of cool projects. And so yeah, I'm glad you're here to talk about it.
Me too. Well, I have to say, I am not someone who sits still very long. I don't know what that is. I constantly complain that I want to break, and then the second I have 2 seconds, I agree to do 10 other things that I'm thrilled to do. So it's just sort of in my nature. Because when I was growing up, there was a lot of media that I didn't see, and so I wanted to make it, and here we are.
What a good reason. What an awesome reason,
That
actually.
is a good
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere in one of your interviews that you were like, I liked slashers. Some people watch slashers for the kills. You were like, I watched the slashers for the survivors, I think you said. And I was like, that is so right on the money. You were like, I like the final girls or whatever. I want to be their best friend. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
interesting.
thought that was cool.
Because when you think about our cultural fascination with horror movies, but specifically slashers, especially coming out of the slasher wave of the 80s, we have built whole media empires around these killers, the villains.
Yeah.
You can get Freddy on a lunchbox. You can get Michael Myers on a thermos. You go to conventions, everybody dresses as Jason or, some of these other killers. And that's cool, and I get it, and that's always been the case with horror. I mean, going as far back as the Universal Monsters, people have been obsessed with Dracula and Frankenstein and whatever. But there is something kind of interesting about the fact that within the genre, we sort of deify the bad guy, and it's one of the few genres that we really do that. But when I was growing up and I was watching these movies, I really became obsessed with the people who survived them because they, in many ways, were more powerful. I remember seeing A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, which was really the kind of first one that I had awareness of because MTV was really promoting it at the time. It was now cool to like make a big slasher movie, and New Line was leaning into that. And I remember seeing part 4, and the character that Lisa Wilcox plays, Alice, was sort of compartmentalized in wayfish, and she didn't feel like she belonged, but ultimately it was her outsiderness that allowed her to kind of rise up and defeat this impossible thing. And later, when I started investigating the intersection of queer identity and horror, I was sort of like, oh, I see why I was maybe drawn to this. And throughout a lot of my work, I've talked a lot about the queer connection to the final girl, because a lot of times when we talk about queer identity and horror, there's often the discussion about otherness, right? Queer folks are drawn to horror because horror is the genre of otherness. And a lot of times that does manifest in a connection with the other in the form of the monster, the Frankenstein's monster, the creature from the Black Lagoon. And that all makes sense, and there's very valid academic response to that, and I agree with all of that. But there are also folks who say, well, what if I don't want to identify with the monster? Society treats me as a monster. I don't want to also have this thing that makes me feel like a monster as well. And that's valid too. And to those people, I always say, well, there's also the final girl, because the final girl is also other. And that is another entry point for queer audience members. And the example I always use is in Halloween, the original Halloween. Laurie Strode is other even in relation to her friends. They're popular, they're sexual. She's not those things, and she's looking from the outside in. She wants to be that person, but she's not. And when the night comes, it's the stuff that makes her different that helps her survive. And that's something that any queer person who has made it understands. And so that's why I like the final girl, because in many ways, the final girl is the character that I needed. Like, it was all well and good to watch superheroes on Saturday morning or whatever, but I wanted to see someone face impossible odds and kick its ass, because growing up in the 80s and 90s, it didn't feel like we could. But here are movies that represent that, and that's really cool to me and was really necessary, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, for me,
Michael,
for sure, 100%.
Can I ask, since you used Halloween as an example, when you first watched Halloween, was Laurie the one that you like really locked in on out of the characters in that movie?
Oh, of course. I think that there's something about Laurie that is special. I mean, in many ways, she has to be the draw to that movie, because Michael Myers is a non-entity. He doesn't talk. He's just a force. I mean, in John Carpenter's original script, he's referred to as the shape. Like, he's not even given humanity. He's this just thing that keeps coming and keeps coming. It's
That's why the sequel's so dumb, because they give him this fucking trite like reason for what he does. What's so scary about the first movie is that he's completely motivationless, right?
Yeah. But
I met dudes before.
But I think she's great. I think that Laurie Strode is a really great character, because in many ways she's the most believable character in that movie too, because she's just, she has real person problems. She has real teenager problems. The PJ Souls character and the Nancy Loomis character, they just, they want to fuck. And that's, and they want to drink, and that's like it. But she's just like, I don't know, I hope Ben Tramer likes me, and I just like, want to make some babysitting money and all this. And you're like, who hasn't been there? And so she's dealing with this like identity crisis while like a faceless monster is coming at her from one side, and this like absolute diva of a British doctor is coming at her from another.
Right.
And so he is such a diva. Oh my God. Yes.
And so she's got to be our entry point, because everything else is so unbelievable.
I also remember being bewildered as a young person, like teenager and younger, by crazed grown-ups. Like, when they seemed so unhinged like that doctor, I was even scared. I was like, what? I thought you were supposed to get your shit together by your age, man. Like, it was like so much more scary when those people were like out of hand. So yeah.
Well,
I love her.
As an adult, I'm now very obsessed with Donald Pleasance's character choices across the franchise. Like, it was something that I like. As a kid, I just thought he's a lot, but like as an adult, I'm like, this is amazing. And I've written about this
really
before, because there's this thing like Donald Pleasance and Vincent Price and a couple of these other guys of a certain era. They were sort of scream queens too, just like in a different definition. There's this like flamboyance of fright, because when he comes kicking in, it's just like, he's the devil and blah, 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 blah. Like, and everybody else is like, this lady's losing her mind. Like,
Cool your jets, dude.
It's so true. Especially in part 2, dude. I just rewatched it, and he is just on one the whole time.
I think it might be cocaine, but on one will
it's
work.
So fun. It's the best part of the sequel is him like swanning around like a maniac.
Oh yeah, it's true.
So good. But Annie was as a little boy watching Halloween, Annie was the one that I was like, she's fucking sarcastic, she's fucking hot, she's cool. Like, I feel like Linda's more the one who just wants to fuck. Like,
I mean,
right. I mean,
you
Annie to me was just like the one. I mean, she's the one who flips off the car at the beginning. I don't know if you remember that. Anyway, I was obsessed with her, but But that always happens in slasher movies, Michael, for me, is that the cool girl in the cast that I love, the one I love,
God, you're so
who's
right.
not Lori, is the one who gets fucking
Actually,
exterminated.
you're so right.
And it always broke my heart every
The
single
punk
time
girls
it
always die
happens.
too.
They always die.
And I'd be like, yeah, punk,
Yeah.
right through the titty, or whatever.
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh man,
yeah.
but you're right.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways for queer people into horror movies is one of the things I feel like we're actually talking about. you know?
No, it's true. And Annie's great.
Yeah.
One of the things that I always think about when I watch the original Halloween, which invariably, no matter how many times I see, if it's on, I just can't help but watch it. There's something about its simplicity that makes it great, right?
Yes.
But I love the
Yeah.
scene when Annie goes to put the clothes in the laundry, and it's like
Yeah.
in this separate house. And
Yeah.
I think that that's the biggest tell that the movie was not shot in the Midwest, because
Yeah.
the laundry has its own separate laundry
Yeah.
house, and I was just like,
Right.
nowhere in fucking
Yeah.
Illinois is that going to be a thing. Like, that's in
Yeah.
South Pasadena. Actually, it's in West
Yeah.
Hollywood. But the idea
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
it's so California to our laundry is
Yeah.
actually in a separate part of the estate.
And it's fucking
Yeah.
outside.
And you're-
Like, we
yeah,
all
exactly.
grew up with
You
winter.
have-
Like,
for
who
the
the fuck's
winter,
gonna
I
go out
know,
in the
yeah.
winter,
It's
the
insane.
dirtiest season? The season
Yeah.
you need to do laundry the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to
And
walk
the
outside to
most.
do it. Like, nobody in Connecticut had those either, bro. Like, we did it in the basement
Yeah,
shivering.
no, that's
even.
so
That was a
funny.
fucking
That's
nightmare.
so true.
Yeah, we all grew
That's
up
so
on the
true.
East
Michael,
Coast. Actually, we
I've
grew
seen
up.
that movie so many times, and I never fucking thought about that. And
I
you're
didn't even
right.
think about
You're
that either.
absolutely
Actually,
right.
you're so fucking right. And there's
right.
all these
Laugh
weird
every
things
time.
about California and not growing up in California that I did think was normal, and I was like, wait, how would that be normal? Like, or like
Well-
looking at like California like high school situations, and I was like waiting for high school, and I get there, and it's like, it's like just a big gray
Yeah.
building. I'm like, where's the big open campuses and the beautiful like picnic benches we all hang out? And it's like Beverly Hills. You're in fucking Connecticut, and it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I remember that. too,
This is
feeling
nothing
the
like, and then
same
it's
way.
like, where's all these cool girls with their like Heather's outfits and like the really good, and it was like everyone looks like shit. It was just like nobody had crazy parties. Like we had the craziest
Yeah.
parties, and it was like not that crazy.
It is so funny because
So disappointing.
Haddonfield's supposed to be in Illinois, but the one that I think has the kind of biggest locational biffs, even though it's a movie I love, is the original Elm Street, because they're supposed to be in Ohio. But like,
Oh, yeah.
there are scenes at like the funerals where there are palm trees in the background.
Yeah, you're totally right. Oh my god. And we all know there's no fucking palm trees anywhere but out here. Like that's one of the reasons like I love palm trees, because you're back out west. It's like here I am.
It's true.
I do love palm trees.
So were slashers your way into like falling in love with the genre when you were?
I just
kid,
brought up
Michael?
slashers. I just brought it up. That's all.
No, not at all.
all-
Actually,
What was it?
I always tell the story that when I was little, because my whole career is very centered around horror, so I think it's really hard for people to kind of believe this when I say it. But when I was a little kid, I was like afraid of everything. Like I had an intense
Yeah.
fear that I was going to see something that would bother me. And so I was essentially a scaredy cat. My parents loved to tell the story that when I was little, if the music on television would even change to some intense degree, I would run over and turn the television off. Whether they were in the middle of watching it or not, like it was kind of like, nope, sorry, mom and dad, boop. And so for a long time in my youth, I really avoided anything that was scary. But then, back in the TV Guide days, because that's how old I am, is that I had to discover how to watch things from TV Guide when I was little.
I remember. I used
like,
to circle
everyone here's
in the
older than
grid.
you.
I would circle in the grid what I
so
wanted
you
to
know.
watch that week.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
Jerbil's around your age. Sure.
But I remember we were living in rural Colorado at the time, and I had the TV Guide, and I was poring over the TV Guide, and they had a listing for USA Up All Night, which was a show that I soon
Oh, yeah.
soon
Fuck
became
yeah.
obsessed with. USA Up All Night was doing a double feature of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
Amazing.
And those titles leapt out at me, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but I want to know everything, and I have to watch it. And I was like, Mom, I'm
Yeah.
watching this show. And she very cautiously, because she knew how alarmed I had been previously by everything, wanted to give me the opportunity to check it out, but kind of was like, okay, you can watch this, but I'm going to watch it with you. So Friday night shows up. My mom makes a big bowl of popcorn and like 15 minutes into the movie falls asleep. And I stay up all night and watch them both as Rhonda Shear is hosting both of these Killer Tomato movies. And then for listeners who don't know how the show used to work after the host signed off or the show ended, the network would just show the movies again, just without the host segments. And so I stayed up and watched both of the movies for a second time that same night. And I always sort of refer to this as like the baptism into cult, because by morning I had this awareness. These are not like the movies that my friends at school are talking about. These are not the movies that are playing at the multiplex when we drive into town to go see a film. It's like, this is not Who Framed Roger Rabbit or whatever. And that was the obsession. It was somehow the fear of seeing something scary was replaced with wanting to know about this forbidden thing. And I always qualify it. I'm like, look, I know that the first two movies out of the gate, being Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and Return of the Killer Tomatoes, is kind of ridiculous because they're not really horror movies, they're comedies. But by being weird and by being other, it made me obsessed with the idea of being like, well, if this exists, what else is there? And it created this gateway into the Evil Dead, which I had a very deep obsession with when I first saw things like the Chainsaw Massacre, like seeing the Elm Street movies. And then, you know, as I was entering that next phase of my life, that was just like all I wanted to watch, to the point where I in like my preteen years would eschew like even the major releases that my friends wanted to go see, because I was like, no, we need to rent Night of the Creeps, or we have to see the Deadly Spawn, you know. And that became so important to me because I loved the idea of movies that felt like someone was going to be upset that I saw them. And it wasn't until like later that I also realized, okay, even though it's not a direct line, that also speaks to the queer connection, because I liked the idea of that otherness, of that subversion. And so that was sort of the early obsession, but it came from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which I always give that and Rhonda Shear and USA Up All Night the credit that credit deserves. But also the fact that I just loved the idea of it being a little offbeat. And I just still to this day, I'm not one of these movie watchers that if something is popular, I get down on it. I think that the world is fucking tough. And if you can derive joy from anything, good on you. Like, go see that Marvel movie, enjoy Transformers. It does not bother me. I'm not going to shit on anybody's parade. But I find that even in my old age, air quotes, I still just want the thing that's weird. And so like that's what excites me the most. I'll see a trailer in front of a movie and I'm like, that's cool, I hope someone has a good time. But then you know, like I'll hear about like some guy in Iowa shot like an underground slasher movie for $300 on a light bright, and I'm like, I gotta watch that.
Yeah, totally. That's amazing. I remember having that feeling of like, I didn't know you could make movies like this, and that excited me too as a kid when we started watching these things together, meaning Sean. I feel like I was like, I didn't even know you could make movies like this, and that was super exciting. And it also opened this world where I was like, I didn't know you could be a grown up like this. Like I was like, oh my god, I could just like go be a total freak. And the thought of growing up and getting out of Connecticut and going somewhere I could be a total freak.
Yeah.
And like dress up in crazy costumes or whatever and be in a movie where I have to eat dog shit. I was like, fuck, dude, let's go. I was like, this is the great future I got. As soon as I get out of this little shitty town, I'm going to do all kinds of weird stuff. And I have.
In a world where boats can be sentient,
Does that boat seem like it's staring at us?
a small seacraft has had enough of people walking all over it.
It seems to be getting closer.
It's done being taken for a ride,
Oh my god, it's ramming us!
and And it's time for revenge.
No! Help!
Save the baby! Save my walrus!
From the makers of Tarantula Tornado and Real Big Snake, come the newest cruise into terror, Blood Voyage. Now it's up to Mr. Captain, the one person in this small beach town qualified and brave enough to take out the killer boat.
It crashed into my baby boy, Bubba. He was just minding his business, snorkeling for pigfish and flabber bits when that evil boat don't murder my son.
Mr. Captain, you ought to stop this boat before the town's annual Savory Aspic Festival. Our entire economy depends on it.
I'll do it, but I'll need a bigger boat. And that singing crab from The Little Mermaid. I have a plan.
Captain, that crab isn't real.
Then God help us all.
Starring Stormy Timeshare as Mr. Captain, Constant Swinger as the mayor, and introducing Boat as Boat.
Captain, it's gotten control of the comm systems.
You will not stop me. I hope you know how to swim, Captain.
Oh, I swim in my sleep for breakfast.
It's headed for the Jiggly Gelatin Party Raft.
I'll stop you, you damn dirty skiff.
Sorry, Captain. I am unanchorable.
Yeah, well, you can still sink.
They all float down here, Captain. They all float down here.
Rated PG-14, because we threw in an extra fuck.
I'm so glad you referenced the dog shit, though, because obviously John Waters as regional filmmaker was one of those sort of beacons, right, for weird kids to realize that there is a way to be an adult like this. And I moved a lot growing up, and one of the things that I really think was beneficial to my kind of developing identity was every time we moved somewhere new, there was sort of that person. And I think that the internet has sort of democratized our access to weirdness in different ways. But like, I early on became obsessed with the idea of just as Rhonda Shear was a national horror host with Up All Night, and we had Elvira with Movie Macabre, and Joe Bob was hosting Monster Vision on TNT at the time. A lot of local markets had just their own horror hosts, like Sven Gulli in Chicago.
That's Paul
Chili
Thomas
Billy in
Anderson's
Pittsburgh.
dad was one, right?
Yeah, Ghoulardi.
Yeah.
in Ohio. I went to college in Ohio. And I loved that. I loved the idea that these people represented an offbeat thing, a spookiness that still was rooted in that area. And no matter what, even though they were technically the weirdos, because they also represented the area, the area kind of embraced that. And I loved that. And so I felt very fortunate because I realized, I kind of want to do something like this. Maybe not be a horror host, but like I want to just be able to make art that speaks to specific people, even if it's just in a small pocket space, because that's what motivated me. And when Peaches, my co-host and collaborator, and I first met, I knew that she, growing up in Baltimore, was deeply influenced by John Waters. And I love the fact that John Waters was that person for the Baltimore area, but then his movies went wider and, of course, has been influential to so many of us. But I think that it's so special going to cities and seeing the love of their cult figures and cult filmmakers. I lived in Pittsburgh for a great many years, and I'm here to tell you, we as horror fans may love George Romero, but we do not love George Romero.
That's amazing.
And it's the same thing. If you go to Baltimore, they love John Waters in a way that we will never understand, even though we love John Waters. And that's special because we don't have figures like that so much anymore.
We better get.
So
we
can
get
I
on
ask
that. We're
you?
changing that, man.
So I know you just made a zombie movie, right? That's your most recent film. So what
Yes.
was your, like, what was the first zombie movie?
Sean's like,
you ever
I'm going to
saw?
ask him about
Like,
zombies.
how
And I
did-
was like, dude, go ahead.
I know.
I
I
was
was like,
bro.
I want to know about
I was like, you
zombies.
two go. No, I'm obsessed with zombies.
Same.
The first zombie movie I ever saw probably was Night of the Living Dead, because my parents both are from Western Pennsylvania. And even though I was born in New Mexico because of the aforementioned moving, they had connections back to the Pittsburgh area. My dad is definitely one of those dads who loves football. He still checks in with the Pittsburgh Steelers like every weekend during that time of year. And even though he raised a son who doesn't care a lot about that,
Right.
I care about other Pittsburgh things, so he appreciates it. And when my mom was growing up, she used to watch Chiller Theater, which was hosted by Chilly Billy, Bill Cardell, who is in Night of the Living Dead. He was their local weatherman, but also the horror host of the area. So she would tell me about how on Saturday nights she would stay in and watch this show. And Night of the Living Dead has the benefit, of course, of being in the public domain, so it's very easy to get your hands on, and it's very easy to show people because it's always on somewhere. And I think fairly early into my interest in this, my mom's like, well, if you're going to watch this stuff, you got to watch this. And here's the thing about that movie. I mentioned it about Halloween, but Night of the Living Dead is a movie that gets better every single time I see it. And it is a movie that somehow, by sheer magic, because he was a relatively novice filmmaker, he made a movie that is so beautifully constructed and tightly constructed that it just is smarter every year too. I watched it last year in preparation for something, and I was just like, how is this no budget movie from Pittsburgh, where it's just a bunch of dudes, who had some spare time on the weekend, a 5-star movie, and things that major studios are trying to do not?
It's a great question for every filmmaker. Like, please.
Yeah. But no, that was my first zombie movie. And
That's amazing. You're so
invariably when people ask about there's a zombie outside, they ask if Romero was an influence, and the answer, of course, is yes, for all of the things I just said and more. But I think that the thing that I'm most inspired by with Romero's work is that his movies are zombie movies, but they're not really about zombies at all. And that, to me, when I set out to make There's a Zombie Outside, was the most crucial. When you look at Romero's early work, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, of course, it's been much remarked upon that it is a piece that is commenting on civil rights. And we have that whole factor in the original film. Dawn of the Dead takes on capitalism. Day of the Dead takes on the military-industrial complex. And I think one of the things that so many zombie films that come in the wake of Romero seem to fail to get is that it's not about a bunch of people like in a house with the undead outside. And that's fine, and it makes for a cool gore fest. But after like 30, 40 years of that, it's kind of like, okay, we get it. You're trapped inside, they're outside, but what's this really about? And that was something when we were making There's a Zombie Outside, I wanted our zombie to be about something. Because I've even just said at this last film festival we were at this past weekend, one audience member came up to me afterwards. They were like, oh, this movie turned out to be like more psychological than I thought. And I was like, yeah, I guess that my secret with There's a Zombie Outside is it's secretly a drama disguised as a horror movie because it's about like queer damage. And that's just the zombie movie I wanted to see. Like, there's a zombie in it. It's in the title. But it's really about a lot of other things. And that was the best way I felt that I could pay homage to George Romero, was by making sure I didn't do what he did, but take my zombie and make it about something
That's
that
awesome.
I wanted to
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, amazing.
That's great.
Word. Do you have thoughts on Return of the Living Dead, Michael?
Oh, I mean, yeah, of course. I think Return of the Living Dead is, for a specific era and a specific generation, so crucial to our aesthetic, our rebellion. that movie is, to the point of, is it about zombies or is it about something else? And that movie is about the punk ethos, right? Everything has to be deconstructed. And it's truly a punk rock movie. Like, it's filthy, it's deconstructionist, it's outrageous, it's loud, it's inappropriate. It basically raises a finger to the characters, the audience, and the critics. And I think that that's what makes that movie work. I love Return of the Living Dead for all of the reasons that I just said, and because it's not trying to be Night of the Living Dead, while also honoring Night of the Living Dead. That to me is like, it exists in a space of punk rock cinema that is very specific because it's truly punk. It's like Repo Man. It's like, Sid and Nancy. It's got this thing going on that is about a movement as much as it is about the zombies.
That's a very important movie to me. Very important.
I love that movie.
Whenever people talk about like Scream being like postmodern and commenting on the genre, etc., I'm always like, yeah, sure, but Fright Night and Return of the Living Dead did it first, you know?
For real.
Like, the characters in Return of the Living Dead know they're in a zombie movie, you know? Like, they talk about zombie movies at the beginning. And I loved that. That was I mean, I was 11 when I saw that movie, and I was just like, because I'd seen Night of the Living Dead many times by then, you know? I started early. So
I think that's great. And I love that era of movies. There's a Zombie Outside. It has a certain meta quality to it as well. And I love meta horror because I have just spent most of my career talking about how these movies influence us. Every week on Midnight Mass, we talk about not just fandom, but cult worship of these films, why we take it to a different degree. So I have an obsession with the connection that we have to the media we consume. And Scream certainly has its place. There is nothing against what it did, and it is crucial for when it came. It changed the landscape of the end of the 90s. But I do think that audiences are remiss if they think that that's the beginning of meta horror, because you're right. You get Return of the Living Dead. Fright Night is so brilliant, addressing the horror hosts.
Exactly. Yes, it is.
Friday the 13th Part 6 that Tom McLaughlin directed is a movie that directly references, Men in Masks and Killers Outside.
It's my favorite one.
New Nightmare.
New Nightmare. Dude, Michael, I just rewatched Tenebra. Have you seen Tenebra?
Love it. Well, Dario Argento is unquestionably in my top.
You're talking to the right guy then, because I'm a huge Giallo fan, a huge Argento and Fulci fan. But yeah, Tenebra, I rewatched it after not having watched it for about 10 years, and I was like, I forgot how fucking postmodern this movie is. Like, it literally is. There is a book within the movie called Tenebra that is about, and it's just so good. I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love that movie. And so visceral.
I think it might be my favorite Argento, personally. It's the one that I get the most excited about,
I just hosted, and by just, I guess it was last October. So, it's almost October again, which is crazy. But I hosted an event screening up in San Francisco of Phenomena.
Oh, yeah. Talk about Pleasance, baby.
Yeah, he's unhinged in that movie as well. I mean, I think he just shows up unhinged, and then they work around it. But no, and that's the thing that I love about Argento, though, is Argento kind of rises to meet the challenge of that nightmare logic. And even Tenebrae has that, and that's got more of a standard crime giallo construction. But I remember when I was telling Peaches about Phenomena, I was like, you've seen this one, right? And she's like, which one is this? I'm like, okay. I was like, Jennifer Connelly plays the daughter of a rock star, and she gets sent to an all-girls school in Switzerland. And while she's there, she realizes that she has this psychic ability to talk to bugs, but there's also a serial
and
killer,
a monkey.
And Donald Pleasance has a pet monkey. And Peaches is like, what are you talking about? It sounds like you're making it up.
It's insane.
Now you're just making shit up. And I give that gift to all of you to add to any conversation when it gets to that point. We're like, now you're just making shit up.
Dude.
Like, are you?
Yeah.
But that's what I love about Argento is that it does feel like you're just making it up. Like it goes back to what I was saying about the idea of watching something that feels so outside of anything else that we have. I love the idea of seeing a movie that when I'm done, I'm just like, well, that belongs to me in my heart because I can't explain that to anybody.
The Italians are so good at that.
That's how I'm supposed to feel.
So
like, that's
good.
okay then. See, I just thought I didn't like those movies.
Yes.
That's the feeling he's going
for.
Oh,
baby.
Me and Sean have an ongoing. Like, I like them fine, but he's, like, obsessed, and then we'll always, like, find a way to make, like, 70% of our episodes about it, and then I'll be like, oh, my God, dude, enough. So it's funny. And then he picks on me for not liking it enough.
Michaela's got a tight 10 that she's been workshopping for the last year on why Italian horror sucks.
It doesn't suck. I'm just kind of like, okay enough, you know? And then I'm like, what about J-horror? And you're like, yeah, it's cool. And I'm like,
let me share this little tidbit.
Share.
Because I was really pleased about this, and I don't think that my lead actor cared one way or the other. But this past weekend, as of the time of this recording, we had the West Coast premiere of There's a Zombie Outside at a film festival in Portland, and it was on Sunday, August 25th. And afterwards, I said to Ben, the lead actor, I was like, do you know what today is? And he said, no. And I was like, today is the 45th anniversary of the release of Lucio Fulci's Zombie. And our movie came out here in the West Coast 45 years to the day. And I was like, and that's cool because our zombie movie and his zombie movie, and I'm Italian, kind of, and he's Italian.
That's amazing. I think I like zombies.
Yeah, so I was like,
you've made me
congratulations.
Like, I don't hate
Congratulations
it.
on that happening.
I like the eyeball stuff. I always say that. I just don't.
Do you like zombies?
Look, I just don't like how the girls act in a lot of his films. I'm like, why can't this bitch run? She's a dancer.
That's
Dancers
fair.
should be running like fucking crazy. Like, but instead they're all like, oh fuck, and you're like, what the fuck?
There's a Fulci movie then that you need to check out if you haven't seen it yet because it very much has a lot of dancing in it called Murder
I don't think
Rock.
I've seen that one. I would have remembered
that.
Yeah,
it's basically like Flashdance, but with a giallo sensibility.
Yes. I'll give it. I keep giving it.
He was a
madman. I like
he was
it
a
fine.
madman.
It's just I'm not like Sean, where he's just like putting it on the highest.
I really love it.
And early
I just
on
watched
in the
Man.
podcast, it was literally like half of all our shows were always just turned right back to how amazing Italian film is. And I was like, look.
I'm sorry. I've gotten past it. I just watched Manhattan Baby for the first time. That was a trip.
So Manhattan Baby is one that I really like. And here, I'll give you kind of the lead into something that's not Italian. One of the things that I talk about a lot with Peaches, as well as we bring up a lot on the podcast that I'm kind of obsessed with, is the idea of what I call the 4 a.m. movie. Because everybody knows what a midnight movie is. But I think there are some movies that are 4 a.m. movies that are so strange and so their own thing that, like, when you're done watching it, you're like, what did I just see? Kind of like 1977's House or, anything that Jodorowsky makes. I think Manhattan Baby, for all of its own reasons, in Fulci's catalog, is one of those movies that I just watched at like 4 a.m. and I'm just like, I don't know what this is.
It's crazy.
And I feel like maybe I should consult a doctor now. But
Sean, I'm glad
I saw it.
You said something when you were just telling me about it. You were like, it was wild. You said it was wild. And I was like, Jesus.
It was very wild. Yeah, it was very wild. It was like Egyptology, Poltergeist, The Exorcist, and like a fever dream, all at once. Yeah.
Because the internet is both a terrible wasteland and a wonderful place, there is a person out there I saw who has created replicas of the amulet from Manhattan Baby. And every now and then I'm like,
I do.
But then it's also like, I can imagine that box coming in the mail and my partner being like,
intervention time.
Like, I love you, but
I'm not letting you wear this in public. Yeah. Fun. So how has the reception to the movie been at the film festivals you've been hitting?
It's been really great. I have to say that it is a movie that I think really does benefit from a theatrical screening. But of course, every filmmaker is going to say
me.
it.
I'm
So
terrible.
maybe,
Watch mine on a
I'm an
phone, like the
unreliable narrator
smallest
in that
phone you've
case.
got. A watch. If you could watch my movies on a watch, they look good. All right, good.
But I've been very happy. The movie was independently made, and by that I mean my production partner and a group of us. We just made it ourselves, and I've worked across all manner of the industry. I've done big movies, I've done small movies, but when this one kind of came up, I realized it was just weird enough that if we waited for permission, we'd be waiting forever. So I just wanted to make it. And luckily, we found some folks who believed in the vision and helped us do that. And with that, though, came the knowledge that it is weird and it is a movie that is not going to connect with everybody. And so when we find the folks who really respond to it, that's who we made it for. And luckily, going out to the film festival circuit, especially the horror festival circuit, we've really been getting to see those people and talk to those people in real time and know that that response is what will kind of like propel the movie forward in terms of its life, but also that we did our job. When you make something that's kind of like so bizarre that it's like, all right, well, good luck everybody. But then somebody comes up and they're like, oh, I need to see it again because of X, Y, Z. And I'm like, great.
Yeah,
then
this is for you.
That's who I made it
awesome.
for. I made it for that guy.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
How would you describe, in 2 adjectives, how would you describe that person who comes up to you and says, oh yeah, I totally fucking got it?
How would I describe it in 2 adjectives?
Genius. Attractive.
Open and attractive. Yeah, there you go. Sexy.
You might be meeting more of these people.
Attractive and gaping open. Got it. Yes.
Yes.
Just gaping.
Just a chasm waiting to be filled with esoteric
Yeah, I love
horror.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I didn't know if it was they're all bankers. I don't know why, but bankers really love this movie. You know what I mean? Like a certain type of person was just really
Roofers
getting
love
it. You know?
No, it is funny though because this is actually a Killer Tomatoes return. So I'm bringing it back full circle. I was involved for many years in a underground horror publication called Ultraviolent Magazine. And Ultraviolent sort of had the mark on doing long-form interviews with filmmakers that you just weren't seeing in other publications. And for many years kind of covered a lot of the Italian filmmakers and international filmmakers before they were really getting coverage in some of the stateside magazines. And I had at one point was like, listen, I love Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and I want to talk to the director of those movies. And I did finally kind of track him down and I did a very long interview with him. And we were talking about the 4th movie, Killer Tomatoes Eat France. And he told a story about how when they did the premiere in Los Angeles, that movie actually was shot in France.
How fun. Oh my God, how amazing and cool was that?
And
I'd go to France to be in that movie.
There's a scene in the movie where they're on the river and someone's trying to get someone's attention by ringing a bell. And one of the other characters says, who's that ringing in the Seine? And he thought this joke was hilarious. And the joke hits at the premiere and the audience is dead silent. No one responds. And then he said 30 seconds later, a guy just started laughing so hard and he was the only person laughing. And the John DeBello, director of Killer Tomatoes, he said, you know what? In that moment, I said, all right, I made the movie for that guy. And that always stuck with me in that it's sort of you have to make the movie for that guy. If you make something and it connects with one person, then you as an artist did your job. Of course, we all would love it if that guy was 10 guys and those 10 guys were 100 and those 100 guys were 1,000 or 1,000,000.
Movies.
But it's sort of like when you when you create something and let it go, it's just
Fuck yes.
Hope for
Because
that
that
guy.
guy's just a kind of reflection of you, right? That's the idea, is just make the movie for yourself and make your art for yourself, and then you'll find other people like yourself, you know?
Yeah, and the truth is, and I have never found this to be untrue, but the truth is that every single movie that exists is somebody's favorite movie. It may be like the weirdest movie and the weirdest person, but it's
It's a
true.
cool project to like compile some of the most unbelievable movies that could be someone's favorite, you know? Like Coyote Ugly, you know?
Yeah.
And be like, who's
Oh,
I think a lot of
I
people
know
as
many
their
faggots
favorite
who
movie?
love
No,
that
you're saying
movie.
superlatives here. You said favorite movie, so it's like, who would admit that? I
Say,
need to meet that
oh,
old
I could
barfly,
easily-
because that's, you know who that is. That's an old 19. That's like a boomer in a tube top, you know. In Texas somewhere,
Yes.
tanning on a lawn chair in the day, and then just getting wasted at night, dancing on the table, and like, she's at it again. She loves that movie though. You gotta love her, you know.
That was one of those movies that I think was on the movie channels quite a bit for a
Yeah.
period
Oh, I
of time
remember,
there.
and I
Like,
was like, "What?
you know, you'd come-
god-awful nonsense is this?"
Oh no! Meanwhile, I would come home and be like, "Hey, that Piper Perabo movie's on. Might as well."
I've never seen
They're gonna do that song in a few
I've
minutes.
never seen it. I've never seen it.
You know, it's just girls dancing around drunk or whatever. It's cool. It's fun. It's fun, but it's not my favorite movie by any means. I'm just trying to think of something that I would be astounded if that someone was like, "No, that movie is my favorite movie." You know. Like Showgirls, you know, something like that. You'd be like, really?
Yeah.
Showgirls?
Right.
I mean, I know it's like I was just
love
gonna say,
Showgirls.
I
Showgirls
know
is
it's
awesome.
funny,
What
I
are you
know
talking
it's
about?
great, I know it's got Kyle MacLachlan, but favorite movie? Like again, it just would be hard for me to really grasp that unless it's the lady who's in it, you know.
Oh, I can totally justify why Showgirls would be someone's favorite movie. I've thought about it. Showgirls is the film
I'm
I
not.
theatrically
Look,
have
I'm
seen.
Really?
not looking for justification. I'm looking for an interview with this person. I
Yeah,
just want
you're
to
looking for
meet this
that
person, have a
movie.
drink with them, and be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
really? You know, like I'm not judging them. I want to like interview them and be like, so tell me why Showgirls? Like it's more of a sociological thing, not a judgy thing. I'm just more like, what would fascinate me? Because if you told me Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm like, yeah. Cool, I get that. But if you were like Showgirls, I'm like, no, we've got to talk about this. You know, it's like, I wouldn't make someone talk about some things. You're like, oh, The Godfather. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I've met a million of you. You know what I mean? We don't need to talk about why. I get it. I get it. Right? But if you were like,
Yeah.
I don't fucking know, man. Just, yeah. So many movies.
I
So
want to
many
meet somebody
movies
whose
would bother
favorite
me.
movie is like Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. You know,
Oh,
The
he
arm wrestling?
definitely
yeah.
exists.
Like
yeah.
somebody
That dude exists.
That dude's somewhere,
Yeah.
and I want to meet him. Yeah.
Over the top.
Get ready for the newest musical sensation. Clive Barker's In the Hill, the Cities, the musical.
38,765 citizens in a seething hall. 38,765 citizens. Fujijibu has fallen.
All the terror of the original short story with the amazing music from world-known composer Coolio Vanderhams.
Fucking in the wheat fields.
A good strong love.
We were fucking in the wheat fields.
Only the traffic guy saw.
Let Barker's words come to life in front of your very eyes as over 10,000 actors and paid stunt children recreate the massive giants made of human flesh, with choreography by famed chef Gordon Ramsay.
A tide of blood, blood without end. No singular explanation. A tide of blood, blood without end. It's a lot of blood. I'm gonna surf on it.
Get back in the car. With Tony Award considered Donnie Forceps as Judd and reality star Foghorn Leghorn as Mick, it's like no other musical you've seen or heard before.
Flying high on the giant, I can touch the sky. I'm a hitchhiker with the God. If I can just hold on. Hear the critics raving about In the Hills, the City, the musical.
Ramsey's movements bring a confusion and awkwardness that seems to work with this atrocity of a musical. The LA Times.
The human giant can't be union legal or sanctioned in any way. It's reckless and dangerous. The New York Times.
Why would Clive Barker ever sign off on this? It's a weird choice, and that's coming from us. Fanny Pack Weekly.
Get your tickets today. Off Broadway. One night only in glorious Newark, New Jersey. The Theater Explanation.
It's a lot of blood.
So I know we've been talking for about an hour. But I just want to make sure that Micaela wanted to ask. You want to ask Michael about his Christmas movies,
I saw that you wrote like a bunch of Christmas movies. I was fascinated. Do you love Christmas, or are you just like, oh, I know that everyone loves these, and I'm just gonna keep giving people stuff they love because I love Christmas and that's cool?
No, it's funny because.
And again, I'm not judging by any means. Just want to know.
I think that like a character in a Christmas movie, I like Christmas now. I've talked a little bit over the years about this because people are kind of fascinated by sort of the division in the career where I do all these like very, intense, subversive movies, and then I also will write a movie about like a woman who goes to save a bakery in a small town. But I will tell you, they actually, the Christmas movie side of my career came about because of horror movies, and it was at a certain point in my career, I had written a handful of low to no budget horror films that did all right critically. And I had a friend who was working, and I still have that friend. He is still in this job. So, he is with us and he is thriving. But a friend of mine who works in the world of TV movies or movies of the week, or however people like to refer to them. He was in the process of doing a network order where, the network needed 5 holiday films. And they had 4 of them, but the 5th one didn't exist, and they needed it quickly. And essentially at his work, they were like, do you know a writer who can turn this around so we can get to shooting? And he was like, I think so. And he called me and was like, hey, have you ever thought about writing a Christmas movie? And the truth is, up until that phone call, the answer was no. I had seen them, and like most people in the world, like I kind of enjoyed them in the passive sort of like once in a while I would watch one with somebody and they were fun. But I never thought about writing one myself. But I also love a challenge because from a storytelling point of view, I'm like, can I find the story that I'm excited to sit and write? And so I was like, all right, let's do this. And that movie ended up becoming a movie called A Christmas Reunion with Denise Richards. And it did very well for the network. And I remember the producer that I worked with said, just so you know, this movie will probably play on television for the rest of your life. And because people, and he said people who make these need to understand that in many ways more people will see this than anything you do, even if the numbers are not immediately apparent. And it's because what happens with these holiday movies is that when the audience attaches to them, it becomes part of their holiday tradition, and they watch it again the next year, and then they watch it again the next year, and they watch it again the next year. And I was really, I enjoyed my experience writing that movie, and I enjoyed the response, and it was really cool to work with the team that made that film. And so then when they came around and asked me to participate in another one, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And that just kind of kept happening. And the truth is like when I was growing up, I liked Christmas, I guess, as much as anyone else, but I was never like the Christmas person. Like I always loved Halloween. Halloween was my thing. Halloween's still very much my thing. I go out of my way to like overly decorate for Halloween. I certainly felt like my parents always have been cool, but like, at Christmas always came with like very stressful kind of like extended family stuff. And so like I never really kind of quite got it. And then like as I started to develop what Christmas was in my adult life and kind of hinging it on the stories that I told about Christmas, there was a certain point where Christmas would start coming around where I'd be like, oh my God, I can't wait to decorate for it and blah, 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 blah. But not like in an intense, like Midwest mom way, but in a way that I realized, much like the heroine of a Christmas movie, that Christmas is exactly what I make it. And I can make Christmas my own fucking thing. And so I really have grown to love it over the years. And I really am grateful for those movies. And I'm grateful for the audience of those movies, because when I go to conventions now, I will run into these people who love these films, and they're just as excited about them as the horror movie fans are. I remember very distinctly, I was at San Diego Comic-Con a handful of years ago, and this like punk dude, like, you know, someone that I probably would have like hung out with like in high school or college, or that hang out with now, he came up to the table because he wanted a signed DVD copy of one of the horror movies. And he was just young enough that he was there with his mom. And while he was standing there, and I was like, what? Oh, blah, 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 blah. And she was just like, I have a question for you. And I was like, okay. And she's like, did you also write a Christmas reunion? I was like, yeah, I was one of the writers of that. And she was like, I love that movie. And I was like, you know what? I actually have a poster for it in my bag, because I never put them out on the table because no one ever wants them. But here, in one encounter, in one house, are two people who like movies of mine, just different movies. And what's been really interesting is that it's not a secret that this exists in my career. You know, the most recent holiday film that I was a part of was a Netflix movie called Christmas with You that Freddie Prinze Jr. was in. It was 2 Christmases ago. And every time a new one comes out, though, there's always some sort of like cycle around where like Dread Central or, you know, Fangoria or someone would be like, horror writers who also make Christmas movies. And like everyone seems like sort of baffled by it. But there is a small contingent of us who come from the world of horror who do this and all really like it. Ron Oliver, who created Mary Lou, Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. He makes Christmas movies all the time. David Dakota, who is notoriously a horror movie icon, who made many movies of the blockbuster era. Fred Olen Ray, who did Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Sam Irvin, who directed Elvira's Haunted Hills. They all make Christmas movies. I make Christmas movies. And when people kind of discover there's this contingent of spooky kids who also do this, we laugh, because there's like this kind of interview piece that happens every couple of years where we have been interviewed for the New York Times, for the Wall Street Journal, for the like all of these major publications, because they're baffled that horror movie people, that there's a connection. Yeah. But I always say, in many ways, they're all cult films, because the audience is so obsessed and so dedicated, and in many ways there is a set of rules, just like in Scream, where it's like, these are the rules of a horror movie. Well, these are the rules of a Christmas film. And when I sit down to write a script, someone's like, well, how do you know when you're going to sit down and write something, if it's going to be one of those or one of these? And I'm like, well, it just depends what direction, because a well-written story, your characters don't know what kind of movie they're in. You know, you can get in the car and head to grandma's house for Christmas dinner, and you either make it and have a nice Christmas, or your car breaks down and you have to use the phone at the castle.
Exactly.
And chaos ensues. And like the same beginning can lead to very different endings. But I love those movies. I'm proud of those movies. They come back in so many different ways. And I think it's interesting because the holiday movie fans, I think that people expect would be kind of down on the horror stuff, but by and large, whenever I run into like, you know, the mom who was watching A Christmas in Vermont while wrapping presents, if she finds me on social media and also hears about there's a zombie outside, they're usually like, oh my gosh, congrats. Usually it's the horror movie fans who have something negative to say about the Christmas movies. I have a friend in Portland who's a total like metalhead punk girl, but she every single Christmas actually watches every single Christmas movie and then gives us like
live updates in her Instagram, ranks them out of 10, tells us why. And I was like, wow, I've definitely seen your movies in her list. And that's wild. Because she's been doing years and years. And she loves them. And like, I actually really appreciate her because she'll be like, this is actually, like, she'll give a lot of them like 9 out of 10. You know, she's like, this is a great Christmas movie. Like, she's like a connoisseur. Like, you're not wrong. Like, she's obsessed. This is her tradition. She's like, updates us. And like, and it's really funny because like, I don't love Christmas movies, but and I'm not Christian by any means. I'm super witch. I fucking love Christmas. Like, my house is decorated ridiculously. Like, I've got shit from Michael's of like little cute mice with glitter hats on and shit. I used to have 3 trees and I had to get rid of some because I was like, this might be too many Christmas trees for 2 people to have in a 2-bedroom apartment. So I have like 2 Christmas trees now, one for outside, one for inside. Yeah. Like, I fucking love Christmas, and I know hella goths, like my best friend, who does a black Christmas tree, by the way. It's all like black and white and red. Fucking love Christmas. So it actually isn't that odd, but I wanted to talk about it because it is strange that as a non-religious person, I love wrapping presents. I love bows. I love all the things.
No, I get it.
You get to make your house look so fabulous. It's the only time of the year anyone lets you do it, kind of.
Yeah.
And they're not like, hey, maniac.
Oh,
yeah,
true.
And they're like, hey, maniac, take these string lights down. You're like, it's only March. You know, it's like, I'll try to leave that shit up forever, but tinsel, everything. Anyway, I love it.
Well, the truth, too, is that I'm not a religious person either. And in fact, if you look at any of the holiday movies I've written, they don't have anything to do with religion. It's just
Christmas
sort of like Christmas
is
happening.
If you can just get into it, it's a good time.
Right. But I also, as a horror movie fan and as a fan of folklore, I'm here to tell you, Halloween is training wheels in comparison to the winter months. If you take the time and study the folklore of other countries around Christmas and the solstice, Christmas has the best fucking monsters, and it has the scariest monsters. There, like, I have whole like books about, like, if I had my druthers, I would get to do like a series of holiday horror films about the Christmas monsters that we have yet to get, and there are many. In Iceland alone, Iceland has monsters upon monsters. Do you know about the Yule Cat? Are you familiar with the Yule Cat?
It sounds kind of vaguely familiar, but tell us everything anyway. It doesn't matter.
In Iceland, around Christmas, they have a legend of a giant cat, like the size of a house, that roams the countryside. And if children are not gifted new clothes, the cat will eat them. And if you go to Reykjavik in the winter months, they have a giant statue of the Yule Cat as part of their holiday kind of festive decorations. Wow. And so it's not just Krampus. It's not just,
is that a way to get kids to not complain about buying them fucking clothes for Christmas? Like, look, I had to buy you clothes.
You know, everything is connected to some sort of cultural
cat
thing.
Will eat you.
The main export for Iceland for many years was textiles. So, of course, you know, like to motivate the economy, people have to get clothes. But Iceland also has 13 Christmas elves that all basically terrorize people instead of help them. Italy has a Christmas witch. There is the Mary Lwyd from, I believe, Welsh tradition, which is the giant, like it's a kind of like a big figure that has a skull head of a horse for its head. And if it comes to your door, you have to give it presents or else it will create chaos. And so, I mean, Santa is vastly outnumbered and in big trouble. That's the answer.
I'd watch all of these.
Yeah, I'm so
pleased to hear it.
All of these. How exciting. Yeah, forget picking all these Marvel movies. Let's start doing all these Christmas demons and shit. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
The Christmas cinematic universe. I have art when I decorate for the holidays. I have art of a lot.
Hell yeah.
Like, I have a Yule Cat painting, and I have some of the different ones. We have many Krampuses. I don't know.
Krampuses.
Yeah. Cram pie. It's my favorite pie at the holidays.
Not mine. But anyway,
but yes.
Let's see. Any other questions you might have, Sean? Anything else you want to bring up? 'Cause I feel like I took over with the Christmas thing.
I got to. No, it's all good.
I was intrigued. I was like, I was like, is there some
and
sort
I
of
wanted to
connection
know
I'm
too.
missing? Because then, like I said, I thought to all my friends and was like, though, me and all the spooky girls, we do really like Christmas. I bought my friends fucking
Well, for someone like me,
a couch last Christmas. Like, what's wrong with
Hell
me?
yeah.
it's for
Well, now you know you have to please the cat.
Yeah, I
at
mean,
the holidays.
I bought her a couch, man.
but
She didn't even like it.
for someone like me, it's really like because of the streaming platforms that Christmas movies have become accessible to me, because I was never one to like watch cable or have TV on, but I've seen a lot of Christmas movies in the last 3 years because they're on Netflix, they're on Amazon Prime, they're on Hulu, etc. And it's very easy. Well, some of them I really do love. Yeah, some of them are really fun. And then there's lots of crazily bad ones, and a lot of times they're bad.
It's one of the
really
other
fun
genres
way,
that's part of it, though, is they're like goofy. There's goofy ones, and it's kind of a vibe setter. You put on a channel on Christmas Day, and you just let all the movies play, and you watch some of it.
Yeah.
You know,
know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And just like indie horror and low to no budget horror, there are people who like grind out their own holiday films, and sometimes there's crossover. Like one of my favorite low budget horror movies of the last decade is a movie called Santa Jaws, which is exactly what it sounds like. It basically takes the tenets of like a Hallmark Christmas movie, but there's also a shark that's eating people, and it's like this little boy like makes a wish, and then he's got to like save his family for Christmas, and it's preposterous and somehow kind of good, so good, and I love it. And that's the stuff that I live for. Going back full circle to earlier in the conversation, like if it speaks to me in a strange way or like a niche way, I become obsessed with it. And so it should have never come as a surprise to me that the Christmas movies kind of took hold in my heart too, because they're just as niche as anything else. And it's funny. And I, when I mentioned earlier writing a Christmas reunion, I will clarify that it was a co-written film, but when I worked on it, I worked alone. But then when they brought in another writer, because I was new and they wanted to make sure I got it. But that helped me learn what these were and really appreciate the needs of the audience as well. And so of course when I came back, I'm like, I get it. And it's exposed me to a whole new audience, and I've got to work with some really amazing people from it. And a lot of them are in the world of horror. So it's all full circle. And I don't know, every so often I just can't help myself that I think I've written my last holiday film. And what if, she's an ice skating coach.
This sounds like fun to brainstorm in general. Yeah.
If you wonder about dark matter, missing links, and wild lives of scientists, space updates, and cutting-edge technological breakthroughs, then this is a podcast you've been looking for.
Join hosts Micaela Superstar and Electric
And Jerbil.
Shut up, Jerbil!
For a drink and a savvy science conversation that gives you fuel for your nerdiest discourse and jokes you can't wait to rip off.
Check out our website at thebluntletters.com, our new home on the interwebs for all things blunt letters.
Follow us and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts.
Fancy. The Blunt Letters Podcast, subversively nerdy.
Well, here's a recommendation that might connect with your listeners and might connect with you. It was written by a colleague of mine, Mike Zara. There was a movie that Sci-Fi Channel did a couple holiday seasons ago called Letters to Satan Claus.
Oh my God, yes.
And it essentially takes the Hallmark formula. And it's a woman who comes back to her small town, and all this stuff is going on. But it's based on the fact that she doesn't like Christmas anymore because when she was a kid, she accidentally misspelled Santa and sent the letter to Satan, and Satan killed her whole family. And so now she doesn't want to do the holidays, so she's got to she meets the guy who makes her love the holidays, and then they confront the devil. But it's that thing that's exactly what we're talking about that I think would speak to your audience, but also kind of celebrates these rules.
Yeah.
Definitely worth
that sounds amazing. That sounds like my life, because I think I did summon Satan.
That is
it was just
hilarious.
Turned out it was the other personality my boyfriend had, so I was like, ooh, interesting.
And to bring
It's a touchy story
and to bring
to
it back,
somebody, I'm sure, if I wrote it the right way.
Yeah. And to bring it back a little bit to horror, I will say that the holiday movies also kind of carved a path for me to do television thrillers as well.
Right.
And I've written a handful of those, and always about like a evil nurse or like an acting teacher who's up to some no good.
Yeah, that looked really spicy.
And
my mom said she might have seen that one.
Well, what I like about those is that when I write them exactly the way I would write a horror film.
Right.
Like this is someone invading your home and like stabbing your grandma and shit. That's
Dude,
a horror movie.
So
it's
many
just
of
like
those
the amount
movies
of blood that they put in.
that my mom is watching on Lifetime Channel and shit are fucking terrifying. I'll come in and someone's crying and screaming or getting like assaulted, and I'm like, "What are you watching?" Because she's like 84, so it's always screaming people, and I'll be like, and she does love horror movies, by the way, so it could be either one, and I'll be like, "What are you watching?" She was watching some shit. She was watching Bone Tomahawk the other day when I walked in on her, and I was like, "What are you watching? Are you watching Bone Tomahawk?" She's like, "Yeah, it's pretty good." I'm like, "This is about to get so gross, Mom." And she was like, "Well, tell me when to look through my fingers." And like, I had to watch it with her because that part I knew was gonna be too much. But anyway, so it could be anything when people are screaming. Yeah. And she was like,
"But those movies are horror movies. They're
so
like
right.
basically domestic horror movies." But the reality is that Joe Bob Briggs actually has talked about it on his new show. He mentions that back in the day there was a certain kind of middle budget thriller that we don't get anymore because the drive-in doesn't exist anymore. But he said the drive-in movie didn't disappear, it just went to Lifetime. And when he said that really felt like justification for some of the movies that I've written because I wrote a movie called The Wrong Stepmother, and it's like a woman who's like under a false identity hiding in a house because she's a killer and the family doesn't know. That's a horror movie.
Fucking horror movie, dude. Yeah, for sure. That's great.
Yeah.
Inspiring. Now, first of all, now it makes me want to watch some of these movies. I'm like, I feel like I'm missing out hanging out with my mom more, Because again, she's got great taste. Like, again, I walked in, she was watching Pearl, and she was like, "Have you seen Pearl?" And I was like, yes. She's like, "This is amazing. She's so funny." And I was like, "Cool, you saw her watch that. You watched her fuck that scarecrow, right?" She's like, "Yeah, that's nuts." And I was like, "I fucking love you, dude." So yeah, that's what
I also love that she thinks Pearl is funny.
That's why I have such a sick sense of humor. Yeah, she's like, she's funny. And I was like, and then that guy, and she's like, yeah, and he wasn't going to take her, so she killed him. Like, she's really into female vengeance. Like, she is so there. She was like, good for her. She's one of those, like, good for her people. She's like, good for her.
That's why she's watching Lifetime.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then so she'll be like, no, this is really good. And she'll, like, tell me about it. And I'll be like, yeah, that sounds pretty fucked up, Mom. Like, damn. So now it's all making sense. Yeah. She loves them both as well. Though somehow not.
Yeah, I love a script that terrorizes people.
It's great. It's so great.
Sames.
That's awesome. Yeah. And man, yeah, you've written so many things, so at least it keeps you definitely working. Fuck. That's awesome.
I like to stay busy. I mean, ultimately, like I said, I am always happy to take on a gig if there's something about the story that speaks to me. Because, the thing is, these movies, you watch them in 90 minutes. But for me, it's months of my life. And, some of these movies, like one of the Lifetime movies, since I referenced it, A Nurse to Die For, I think that movie took like 6 months to write, and then they took 3 years before they greenlit it. So like I kept hearing about it. And then ultimately it was a movie that played like on, a Friday night on Lifetime that like kind of came and went, but I mean, you can watch it on Hulu or wherever it is these days. But it's like, I think that that's something that I wish the audience understood about anything they watch.
Yeah.
Like, nobody sets out to make a bad movie. Nobody sets out to make something that like is mid or whatever the kids say. We all. Yeah. We all put in an extraordinary amount of time, but it's like, a lot of cooks in the kitchen, a lot of things that can happen. And ultimately it's what we said earlier, once you make it, you just kind of have to let it go live whatever life it is. And then
Are some of your
You
films
make it for that guy that we talked about.
Yeah, there's one person that really likes it.
Are some of your films, like your horror movies and stuff, are they made more by like people you're friends with, or like a closer group of people than others? Like, because some of them seem more like, I would be like, yeah, that almost seems like, I watched the Dracula one with the Michael Ironside and all that, right? And there was like that feel.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the feel of Aquarium of the Dead, which was like super fun and almost seemed like a troop of friends or something more than, you know what I'm saying? I was like, is there sort of like different people you work with where you're like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Do you
so
know
it's
what I mean? It
interesting.
was
Both
like that. The Aquarium of the Dead seemed like it was super fucking fun to make. And not that it wasn't hard to make, but I was just like, oh my God, that seemed like almost like a bunch of friends or something.
Well, what's interesting about both of those movies is they were both produced by the same
right. That's
company.
why I was asking. It's like so different.
Those similarly to the TV movies and the Christmas movies, is those movies were done through a production house that came to me.
Yeah.
And I will clarify for Aquarium of the Dead. I didn't write that movie, but it's based on a story that I
wrote
created.
This. Okay.
Yeah, so like they had wanted me to write it. They came to me and they were like, we want to develop this movie because they had done 2 movies called Zombies that like there's zombies at the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
And technically I think Aquarium of the Dead is supposed to be like the third entry in that franchise. Okay. And they had come to me about being part of that. And I developed the story and I created the characters, and I basically did like a very extended sort of treatment of like, here's what happens at the beginning. And I wrote like all kind of 10 acts as paragraphs. And then it was, as happens sometimes with production, like they kind of went back and forth about it. And then, so the company in question, the Asylum, they kind of make movies really fast. And I don't really work with them anymore, but their model has always been the same. They kind of do this like quick turnaround, which is great for what they do. But they kind of do this thing that when it's go time, right? And they called me like literally, it was like over the holidays. Yeah. So it was like the 2 weeks over a Christmas break, and they're like, we need you to write the script in the next week and a half over Christmas.
Okay.
And I was like, sorry, that ain't happening. Because there had been like no pre-warning and we hadn't talked about it for a really long time. So I basically had to be like, nope. I can't, but I will, you can buy the story that I created and have another writer do it. So, and the guy who wrote that, Mark Gottlieb, I believe is the name of the writer. Yeah. He did a really great job. But yeah, that movie, I know that they shot quite quickly because, I know from the time they asked me to write the script to them shooting it was like a month. Wow. It was like a quick turnaround.
That's great.
Yeah. And Dracula, the original living vampire, as they retitled it later, was a script that was actually brought to me by it wasn't brought to me. The producer of that, this guy Matt Mangiarides, who is one of the producers of Joe Bob's The Last Drive-In. He's someone that I know. And he and his production partner, Justin, were in the process of trying to figure out a movie to shoot in Serbia.
Yeah, because I was saying it was in beautiful locations. I was like, this movie is like in these amazing places.
Yeah, and I'm a Dracula obsessive. Yeah. Like, I'm a huge fan of Dracula. I've done several different Dracula projects. And while they were trying to figure out this Serbian movie, Asylum contacted me because they had been talking to them. And they were like, we are putting together this Dracula movie. And that's all they really had to say. Right. It was like, I want to write a Dracula movie. And then it was like, wait, like, what if Van Helsing was a lesbian detective and Dracula is a serial killer? And when I wrote that script was more like a 1950s like set noir because I wanted to play into the detective of it all. But then when they got Serbia, they were like, no, we're just going to make it period, which that's why there are things in the movie that like timeline don't make sense because they didn't really like update the draft. And then they went to Serbia and shot it in I think 6 days. So it was one of those where I spent a long time working on that movie. And then when they went and shot it in another country, I wasn't there. But I do like that script, and I remember, kind of being tickled by the fact that I had this Dracula movie that was shot in Eastern Europe.
That's
so
cool.
that was
It
fun.
looked amazing. There was the shots. I was like, what is the budget for this? The locations. I was like, I didn't know where it was, but I was like, this looks crazy.
But what was fun about that was also because there were the hurdles of the international production and the quick turnaround and sort of the changing of the timeline, and a great, again, I'm proud of that film. But it was that thing where when I do horror movies that are more personal, I do tend to make them sort of in-house, if that makes sense. I have my own production label called June Gloom Productions, which I co-founded with a collaborator of mine named Brandon Kirby. We met when he was doing a series called I'm Fine, which was about a person who's not. And that show got some attention in The Advocate because it was like a queer drama. And I produced a lot of that. And then we realized we worked really well together. And I was like, I want to create a company that allows us to make kind of the queer genre stuff that no one is letting us make. And from there, we started investing our time and energy into making films with a small group of people that pretty much work on all of our stuff that we make in-house.
Amazing.
And so a lot of the short films that you see I've written and directed is pretty much with that team. And then we also produce for other people. Like there was this British movie called The Latent Image, which came out last year. That was produced through us. We're in the process of working with another filmmaker about a piece that they want to do. We produced There's a Zombie Outside. And so really my experience on making movies with other people, that inspired and informed my need to, when I have something of my own that I don't want to lose XYZ on, that's where we kind of got June Gloom from. That has never stopped me from working with other people. I love the collaborative process of making movies. And I love the fact that it is a mosaic when you work with somebody else. Like the script that I wrote will always be the script that I wrote, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the movie reflects that in the end. And so I think sometimes you just have to make a decision when you set out, like, who's this story for in terms of like, how am I making this story? And when I write this for this person, what's the trajectory going to be versus what the trajectory is going to be if I write it for myself, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And both of those things come with pros and cons and different challenges. And I just feel very lucky that there always seems to be a project right now, because I know that will not always be the case. And so I'm just very proud of the fact that, like, in the last 13 years, almost without fail, there's always some script that I'm working on, or some project I'm doing. And if my late nights have noticed as well. But I know that it's not forever. I think everything has a shelf life, and I just feel like if I can leave some stories that some people like, then I did my job. And if it scares the shit out of somebody, cool. Or if it is the thing that someone's Nana wraps presents to in December, also cool. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
We'll have a Michael Varrati fest this Christmas. Oh my God,
Amazing.
he's so cute. I'll tag you. We'll do a live stream. I'll be like, Michael, look it. We are, motherfucker. We're making motherfucking cookies. Like, I did a whole you could even see there's TikToks of me and my best friend like baking fucking thousands of cookies together. Like, legit. We'll watch one of your movies next time. We're watching other Muppet stuff. I'm a Muppet lover.
I love a Muppet.
They're so cute.
Hello? Oh my God, that's great.
I know. He finally asked.
Nancy's sister is getting married, and she wanted to help her make it perfect.
I want a fairy tale wedding. I need everything to be perfect.
I'll help you, sis.
You better. You're maid of honor.
Oh my God! Oh, so exciting!
Everything was going like clockwork, but as the hours got closer to the big day, one thing was missing. Nancy's +1.
I can't show up alone. It's just too depressing.
What about your ex?
They're in jail.
Oh, Jesus. Well, Why don't you go on Love Finder? Or Okay Cool?
I don't know. I never get any good matches on there.
Well, you better come up with someone. You're the maid of honor. It'll ruin everything.
Little did Nancy know, her +1 was right around the corner.
Oh my god! Ah! Did you just save my life? Was that your tail? Sorry, that was just amazing. Listen, this might sound crazy, but are you busy this weekend?
From the makers of Real Big Snake and Demon Squeaker. This summer, get ready for the unexpected sequel to the smash hit Godzilla -1. Godzilla +1.
Ah! What the fuck? Ah! Oh my god!
Why? Why would you bring a kaiju to my wedding?
I'm sorry, he saved my life. I think. I'm not so sure now. But he thick.
I hate you.
Various chaos sounds. Ah! Jesus Christ! Ah! Where's my wife? What happened to my wife?
Oh no!
He just flung the justice of the peace into a tree.
He stepped on the cake and the bus man.
Ah! Help us! Help us! Help us! This was a terrible idea.
You think?
The worst part is, I really thought Godzilla liked me.
If your date doesn't smush you like a bug, I'm going to kill you.
Starring Susie McNuggets as Nancy, Gretchen Fusk as the sister, and Channing Tatum as Godzilla. This summer, you might want to go stag. This film is not yet rated. We need to figure out the Godzilla sex scenes first.
I did want to ask before we part ways. I know that Sean Abley recently sent you our book.
Yeah, it's amazing. The queer horror.
Yeah, a film guide.
Yeah.
It's so many pages. Was it 900 pages or something? Like 700?
I think it's
500? It's at least 7.
Nearly 1,000 entries. Yeah.
It's amazing. And yeah, you wrote for that too. I read some of your entries.
I did. No, I love Sean. Sean is somebody who has really been a trailblazer in the world of queer horror because he had the first gay column in Fangoria called Day of the Dead, which he still has. And there was a period of time, kind of bringing it full circle in the queer horror discussion, all the way back to the beginning of our conversation about Final Girls. The natural progression in my interest in horror was sort of starting to chart for myself and then later for others the queer connection to horror. And I've written about it extensively over my career. And to me, it's is significant to the work that I've done as the fiction stories that I've told, because I've been very interested in that history because when I was young, there was no writing on it, or like I didn't know how to access it. And when the internet became new and there was sort of the pioneer days of the blogosphere, there were creators who were speaking to specific subsects of horror and what it meant. Like I remember Stacy Ponder had a blog called Final Girl, which was sort of about the queer female perspective of horror. And that was very early on. BJ Colangelo had a blog called Day of the Woman, which was feminist horror. The Graveyard Shift Sisters was the black horror experience. And there was a website called Camp Blood, which was all about gay horror, and then Sean's work. And that was still like, you know, very niche. It was a niche within a niche, but it was very crucial. And when I started writing in that space, and I started contributing articles to publications. When I got on board with Ultraviolent, I was like, I need to talk to the queer creators. I want to talk to Tom DeSimone, who made Hell Night and Reform School Girls, and talk about the gay porn he directed that got him here. I want to talk about this with this person, and we need to get Peaches Christ in the magazine because she's a drag queen in San Francisco who's a horror host who is hosting horror movies. And I really made it my mission to not only be very loud about that stuff and put it out into the world so other people could find what I couldn't find when I was a kid, but also help raise up the creators who were also doing it, because the whole point was creating visibility and community.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was no one person was the representative of queer horror.
Right.
If Sean could be discovered through something I wrote, then I did my job. If I could be discovered through something Sean wrote, then he did his job, because we needed to make it visible for everybody. And I hosted for 100 episodes a podcast that I created very early in the era of podcasts. Now everybody has a podcast, as I like to say.
No. What are you going to say, man?
And it's great.
No,
I mean,
I love it. It's anarchy. It's the best.
Me too.
Yeah.
But I had created a podcast called Dead for Filth, and for 100 episodes, every episode I had a queer creator on to talk about their engagement and history with horror. And Sean and I had already known each other. I had him on that show. He had talked to me, forgave the dead, and we just kind of kept in touch because we were really engaged with what the other person did. And I took over the queer horror panel from Sean at San Diego Comic-Con in like 2013 when he went off to go get his master's degree. And at that time, that panel, even though it was a Comic-Con, which was a big pop culture behemoth, they would put it like in a little teeny room at like 8:00 at night, and it would be like all the way at the back of the convention center, and like, you know, a smattering of people would come. But I took that gig seriously because Comic-Con for so many in fandom was a taste-making event. It is the event that legitimizes nerd culture. And so every year I would like beat the pavement to be like, Chris Landon, you just made Happy Death Day, and I would love it if you would come and talk on my panel. Christopher Rice, you write amazing horror novels, come talk on my panel. Guinevere Turner, you wrote American Psycho. People need to hear from a powerful woman in queer horror. Come talk on my panel. And so I kept curating it, and the panel kept getting bigger, and people couldn't keep the seats, like they couldn't keep the room kind of like contained, so then they had to upgrade the room. And then it was like, and now we're in like one of the main rooms at the front of the convention center, like in the middle of the day, and they still have to turn people away. And I've always been very proud about the fact that we fought to have that. And now like queer horror is a discussion that it's always been part of the discussion, but it feels like we're not talking about it behind closed doors anymore. And it's so interesting bringing it to the book that for years when we would have these discussions, and I know Sean experienced this, and I experienced this, and Stacey Ponder experienced this, and all of these folks who do this, where when you would talk about the queer connection to horror, people would be like, oh my God, I never realized that there was this connection, or I never thought of this movie in this way. And Sean's mission with the book is so genius to be like, look, here's 1,000 movies that explicitly contain queer content. And by that, I mean his parameters when he brought us in was there has to be overt queerness in this movie. Like not subtextual if it's just hidden. It's in the text. Like if you can look at the movie, you can undeniably say this has got queer content. And this book reflects cinema from the beginning of cinema to, I think, whatever our cutoff date was, like 2022. He asked me to be part of the book, I believe, in 2017. And at the time, we thought, we're going to have this book out, like, in a year or two. It's just now coming out in 2024. Because every time we thought we had reached the cap, there were 15 more movies that were discovered, or there was this thing, or like someone else would make a new movie, or someone would say, have you guys watched this? And, you know, it's so smart that he brought in all of these people to contribute because everybody had a different perspective and a different pocket of queerdom that they could speak to. But I think what we were able to do in 1,000 entries by serving up this encyclopedia of movies is not only say, look, we've always been here, but more importantly, if you read this text, it's not just that this is queer horror, but that horror is queer, period. And if you have any questions, we wrote the goddamn book on it.
That's amazing. It's so good. I've been like devouring it as much as I can before we talk to him because I'm so excited. He's really nice.
There's so much shit in there I'd never heard of.
And
so
desperately looking for now. And Which is, that's the only downside to loving the weird stuff is like trying to see it. Like I was even gonna ask you where I was like, you did all these shorts, but can we see them anywhere? Like, is there anywhere to watch a lot of your shorts, or do you have like a website or something? Or?
Yeah, some of them I actually host on the June Gloom Vimeo for free because I want people to be able to find them. There was a short that we made early in the pandemic called Unusual Attachment. We were one of the first sort of pandemic shorts. If the world shut down on March 2020, I think we came out with the short on April something 2020. And it was because like a weekend, I was like, I cannot just sit here. I need to figure something out. And I was looking at this thing that I had never seen before called Zoom, which now I wish I never had to see again. I'm sure you all feel the same way. But I was just like, I wonder if I can shoot something remotely using this device. Right. And I got with my cinematographer and I was like, can we do this? And we like brought in a bunch of actors who were also going stir crazy. We worked with them over Zoom to set up lighting at their home using whatever they had. I wrote a script and we shot the whole thing and stitched it together. And we released it in April of 2020 as sort of like a pandemic horror short, even though it's not about the pandemic. And that was released for free because we made it for free and we wanted people to have something for free while the pandemic was going on.
That's nice of you.
And when I think I spent $35 on it, even though if we had paid for the whole thing, it would have been much more expensive. I spent $35 because there was a drag artist in it, and I called them and I was like, I will pay for your makeup if you put it on camera. And she was like, okay. And that was the deal. So like that movie cost me $35 so I could pay for Meredith's makeup. But when we realized that there was something powerful about the democratization of having some of our shorts available, because so many shorts go to the festival circuit and disappear. Right. We have utilized the June Gloom Vimeo to host not only a couple shorts of mine, but also from other filmmakers. And then almost all of the shorts that I have written and directed are on some streaming platform. Okay. There is a queer streaming service called Deku. Okay. And they have what I would consider sort of like the core shorts. There's a short I did called The Office Is Mine, which is a thriller that did very, very well for us. There's a Halloween short that I did on there called A Halloween Trick. Infested Hearts, which is like a spider kind of horror piece. They have all of those. Okay. And they also have a really great catalog of queer movies. Awesome. But if you just do not want to add another streaming platform, I will say that if you go and get a 7-day free trial, you could probably watch all of the shorts in that time. So.
Awesome.
Deku, Dekeku.
Dekkoo.
Oh my God, I did not spell that right at all. Dekkoo.
Yes. And they're really great. And then I think there are a couple other shorts on other platforms, but that's I think that we have a short on Chilling, which is the new horror platform that Jamie Kennedy owns. But it's all out there. I feel very, very grateful that most of the stuff that I've worked on, both for myself and for others, seems available in the world.
Good.
For better or worse. There are very few lost films. There's there was a film that I acted in that has somehow disappeared, even though I'm not one of these. I'm not one of these people that's like, good. I'm like, no, I kind of wish it was out there. Yeah, but yeah, it's all out there, and I'm always thrilled when people want to check it out.
We'll try to put links in the show notes to these places, and I love shorts.
Yeah, we should do that.
Shorts,
we should do
that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm excited. I like watching them a lot.
Michael, thank you so much for
having me. This was such a fun conversation.
Yeah.
I know. I learned a lot.
Incredibly informative, especially for other creators out there. It's really inspirational.
Michael, are you on Letterboxd?
I am not. I am very much a grandpa when it comes to Letterboxd. No, how about I say it like this? I am very much an old man shaking my fist at a cloud at Letterboxd. Okay. I totally get it, and I totally appreciate the function of it. I have no issue with the love and fandom of Letterboxd, but kind of to my original point, of my own personal taste in movies just being like something that appeals to the weirdness inside of me. When Letterboxd was first introduced, I had a friend that was just like, it's great because then you can see how your friends rate movies. And I was like, I don't give a fuck what other people think about movies. And like, for some reason, once I dug my heels in on that, like I waited too long. And then when I kind of came back around and understood what it was more than I just can't have another social media platform.
I feel you.
And so I've just never gotten on it. Every now and then someone will send me, for better or worse, a review they have done of my films on Letterboxd. And I think that maybe that's also good mental health for a filmmaker, is to not be on there because you can't like help wanting to learn, you know? Yeah, so
of course.
But no, I get it. I have many friends who like it. My production partner, my June Gloom co-founder, Brandon Kirby, he's all over Letterboxd.
It's like, a good tool too. Like if we talk about a bunch of films, like Sean will just go make a whole Letterboxd for our listeners that I can link to and be like, look, because it'll at least tell you where to watch everything, which is why I like it. So if you look up a movie, it'll tell you where it's streaming and all this bullshit. I don't read the reviews either. Like, I don't care either. But I like it as a tool for the podcast, so you can just go look at all this information. Also, and it's like an alternative to IMDb, I guess, too. I feel like it has a little more places to go find the movies. Also, it's more of a journal for myself. Like, often when Sean will, like, hit me up, he'll be like, what have you been watching? I'm like, honestly, let me go look at my Letterboxd, because it has, like, a journal function, and it'll, what day you watched. And so, like, I use it for myself as, like, what's that other silly one that I like? The reading one. Goodreads. It's like, I don't care about people's reviews, but I like to, like, oh, how many books did I read this year? Or, like, oh, did I read that book? You know, it's like I can keep track and, like... I don't know.
No, I totally get it. Like, that's the thing. Like, my fist shaking at cloud has lessened. I totally get the reason for
I also smoke a lot of
platform.
weed, so I literally will be like, did I see that 2 weeks ago? You know, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't like it, and I'll be like, did I like it? Like, so again, I'm a huge stoner. Like that Time Loop one or whatever I watched.
Cool. Thanks again for your time. I feel like I know we've gone over, so
this was
just
great.
Be mindful.
I had such a good time. I really appreciated all of the places the conversation went.
Yeah, it's just so fun.
I don't know when this is airing, but I can say that There's a Zombie Outside is still rolling out at festivals. We're going to be at Film Out San Diego here soon, and Cinema Diverse in Palm Springs. We will be playing in London later this fall, as well as some places in the Midwest. Also, which I somehow am realizing we didn't talk about this at all, and that's totally fine because I talk about it a lot. I did write and direct this year's Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, which
we should talk about that for a second. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Sure. But those will be airing on Shudder in October.
Yeah.
So please keep your eyes out for those as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's so exciting.
But yes, if you have any questions, I'm happy to field those.
Yeah. Is there any place where it says all the different festivals and when the screenings are happening for?
So June Gloom Productions, the production company, we have a Twitter and we have an Instagram at June Gloom Prod. IG is more updated for the festival because we'll post like the thing with the laurels and be like playing here. Or if the festival has like a trailer, we always do that. And that's also good because mercifully, speaking of the shorts, for whatever reason, we have a couple shorts that have never quite died, even though they're older. Like the aforementioned The Office Is Mine, at least 2 or 3 times a year someone asks to screen it at a festival. Or like because it's all set in an office building, sometimes like there will be like some like VHS micro cinema that will be like, we're showing Poltergeist 3 and it's set in a skyscraper and we want to show your short in front of it.
Amazing.
And like I love that short, and I'm so proud that it like continues to have as much of a life, if not more so, than features I've worked on. And whenever those happen, we post about it. The Latent Image, which was written and directed by Alex Birrell, that's the UK feature that we produced last year. That's still occasionally getting theatrical screenings. So like what I like about the Instagram is it's sort of a conglomerated place for all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right now, it's pretty zombie centric because there's
totally.
zombie stuff happening is more frequently.
Yeah.
But you know, the latent image could pop up. I know that we're about to produce a short for another filmmaker, and so we'll be doing like set photos from that, and that's the best place. I will say that the Twitter is relatively a good place to follow us as well, except for the fact that I'm the person who updates the Twitter, and I forget to do it. So,
I forget about Twitter all the time too.
Instagram it is.
I think there's like 2 posts on
yeah,
Twitter.
okay.
And one of them's like, I farted in my pants, and it was like a test run, you know? And so I was like,
that's amazing.
And then I was like, I don't know. What do I do with this?
What do I do now?
Yeah, literally, go look me up on X or whatever. It's like, I farted in my pants today.
Right. well, we'll give you a heads up, Michael, when the episode's going to drop.
I'm very excited, and I really enjoyed the conversation quite a bit.
I did too. Come back
Me
anytime.
too.
Whenever you have something new to tell us or some new project.
Be careful. There's always something new.
I know. It's awesome.
We're serious. Come on back. Talk about it.
And if there's anything else you want to mention that I don't know, if there's any other stuff going on. I know, like I said, you're always busy. I'm always seeing you all over the country, like doing stuff. So you just have the festivals. We'll check you out on Instagram. Anything else we should know about? Anything
I'm trying to think. I think that we've kind of wrapped up. So we had just done sort of a string of Midnight Mass live dates recently, but I think we're done for the time being, unless I'm forgetting something, which is very possible. Yeah, mostly festivals. That's what I
was getting at too. I saw one of your live Midnight Masses. It was awesome.
You did?
I saw one. Yeah, I went to one and I nodded at you shyly, and then I was like, I should say hi, and then I didn't. It was the one about San Francisco movies in San Francisco.
Oh, you came to the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts. Yeah, I really loved that show.
It was so rad. Yeah, so.
Thank you. I have never seen an audience get that lit up for the room before. But yeah, no, we really loved that event, and we'd certainly have more to come.
Awesome.
But I'm in post-production on the chainsaws right now, so I'm mostly sticking at home. But then I'm going to start shooting some new stuff this fall. So
that's exciting. Oh, cool.
Cool.
We'll have you back on someday.
Best of luck with that stuff. Yeah.
We'll hopefully see you around.
And congrats on the movie, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank
I guess
you.
that's all.
Have a good night.
Do some sign-off crap.
Thanks for listening to Bleed With Me Horror Podcast. Like and subscribe.
Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and find all things Bleed With Me at thebluntletters.com, where you can become a Patreon member and get bonus content. This is what we do.
You also get more gifts the more you donate.
Oh my God, you can get all kinds of stuff. Even a jumpsuit if you give enough money. Answer our polls and send us messages. It really helps to tell your friends to listen, because we need more.
Tell them all.
And as always,
stay bloody.